Important press conference because today in Nigeria, democracy is facing the greatest challenge of its time. The greatest trial in democracy is happening in Osun State, and it is important that every single person in the world should take cognizance of the happening in Osun State today. Some Philistines, some characters who have disregard for law are attempting to commit coup in Osun State. They have taken over local government offices in the name of a judgment, and I believe strongly that this is very wrong. This is against the rule of law, and the law does not allow and the law does not encourage such. In every democracy, in every governance system, when there is a judgment, the right thing for anyone who is affected to do is to approach the procedure, to approach the court and follow the laid down procedure for judgment enforcement. But when you have a judgment and you are on your own executing the judgment or enforcing the judgment, what we are attempting to do is to promote anarchy. Why this press conference is important is because a lot of people need to understand today that there's a deliberate attempt to commit coup in Osun State and to take over the legitimate government that the people have elected in Osun State against the wish of the people of Osun State. And this is very important. Oftentimes, people have referred to a particular judgment from the Supreme Court, from the Court of Appeal, please, I beg your pardon. They've made reference to judgment for the Court of Appeal. However, these judgments are constantly being misinterpreted. They have before the current situation we have today. Towards the end of the last government administration, the government already put up a local government election, and while the local government election was conducted, the People's Democratic Parties and the Action People's Party challenged this election in separate suits at the Federal High Court in Osun State. The Federal High Court, in its wisdom, nullified the election and sacked all the chairmen who were elected through the election process in Osun State. The APC followed the due process of law by approaching the Court of Appeal, and when they got to the Court of Appeal, they challenged the decision of the Federal High Court as per the PDP matter, and also challenged the decision of the Federal High Court as per the APP matter. In the decision of the PDP, the court has already ruled that the court who decided the matter at the Federal High Court lacks jurisdiction, and the judgment is very clear, and the court did not give any consequential order. In the APP's matter, the court dismissed the appeal. The implication under the law is that the judgment of the Federal High Court subsists. That the Federal High Court judgment in the APP matter, this judgment was not just about who is occupying the position. This judgment is in realm. This judgment affects all political parties, all participants in the electoral process of the local government election in 2022 conducted in Osun State. But what is even important is not whether the decision of the Court of Appeal is right or wrong, whether the people interpreting the judgment are saying the right thing or the wrong thing. What's important is this: if you believe under the law, you have a judgment of a court. If you believe under the law, you have a legitimate judgment. The right thing any right thinking person is supposed to do is to approach the process laid down by law to enforce the judgment. You cannot on your own enforce any judgment. You cannot on your own execute any judgment. When a judgment is given at the High Court, at the Court of First Instance, at the Court of Appeal, or at the Supreme Court, the right thing for anyone should do who understand the principle of law is to ensure that a process of executing the judgment is followed. And when you follow the process of executing the judgment, you do not need to take laws into your hands. So I believe strongly that there is a deliberate attempt to commit coup in Osun State. This is simply because the government of Osun State is doing what the Osun State people want. And so I want to advise anyone who is involved in this charity that you do not take over political power through rascality. You do not take over political power through anarchy. The best way to take over political power is by following the process that is established by the law. I have read sufficiently and abundantly the judgment of the Court of Appeal in the appeal filed by the APC against the judgment obtained by PDP at the Federal High Court. In the judgment of the Court of Appeal, the APC formulated 4 issues before the court. Formulated 4 major issues before the court, and the Court of Appeal adopted the 4 issues. In adopting the 4 issues, the Court of Appeal addressed the first and the second issue. The first issue border on the amended originating summons through which the matter was commenced before the Federal High Court in Osun State. The second issue bordered on when the course of action accrued properly, if there was truly a course of action which the court is supposed to entertain in the first place. Then the third and the fourth issues raised by APC before the Court of Appeal borders on the election, if the election truly followed the rules, the law as established by the Electoral Act. And the fourth one is talking about reinstatement. It would have been different if the Court of Appeal, having addressed the first and the second issue, proceeded to address the third and fourth and gave a consequential order to reinstate the sacked local government chairman. But the Court of Appeal said expressly in this judgment, that the third and the fourth issues are now academic. And in view of that, they have been abandoned. When the court has not expressly given a direction or given a particular order, you cannot innovate the order from the judgment of the court. And the judgment is very clear. If you look at page 49, 50 of this judgment, you will see that the Court of Appeal expressly said that the issue 3 and issue 4, which essentially borders about the restatement of the sacked local government chairman, is now academic. If the court has said it's academic, it implies that it has been overtaken by what? By events. Also take note, this same Court of Appeal was the same Court of Appeal that dismissed APC's appeal against the judgment given to APP. The Court of Appeal dismissed the appeal. So by implication, the legal situation in Osun State as per the Local Government Council is that the judgment of the APP is still what? Subsisting. And that's the right thing. So if anyone is saying that there's a judgment that has restated the chairman, it's just dishonesty. And it's a deliberate attempt to create chaos and anarchy in the state. And assuming without conceding, thank you. Assuming without conceding that this document, this judgment emanating from the Court of Appeal, assuming without conceding that this judgment, as in his kindness, which is an impossibility, blessed the APC with the office of the Local Government Council, you do not have right or power under the law to proceed to break the doors, to proceed to take over the Local Government Council violently. No. The law has already established a process of judgment enforcement. And even a primary school, a student of law will understand that when you want to enforce judgment, there's a process you must follow. And that is the issue. Not following that process established by law is deliberate attempt to create chaos in Osun State. And what's going on right now as I speak to you is an attempt to take over the state forcefully against the law. And so everyone must know today that there is an attempt by APC to hijack and commit coup in Osun State to take over the government of Senator Ademola Adeleke, which the law will not allow. Even if they all become native doctors, it will not work. That's my submission. That's my position.